if you could tell from my face, but I'm absolutely shattered. I think I look half dead. It's been a pretty wild last 24 hours. Fish being caught, fun times, lots of teas, lots of staying up and watching, but I think it's finally got the best of me. My mate Steve has just caught one. I just went round there and filmed that. But it's been a pretty eventful, I guess, starting back from yesterday afternoon. It was about 1 o'clock. Rob, who's just fishing just down there, his rod ripped off and he had one of the originals, which is one we call the baby torpedo, 30 pounds something. Really, really nice fish, really old. Long, as the name describes, torpedo fish, nice dark back, proper old warrior. Literally been pissing it down the whole time, non-stop rain. I've been soaked this session, soaked through to the bone. I've been probably soaked 4 times. Had to just sort of wait for that small gap, and I managed to get the rods back out. Everything was perfect. I did actually go out and give them a big hit when I first got here before the wind picked up. Fast forwarded on, about 4 o'clock this morning, my rod busted off. I was playing it in. Felt fairly heavy actually, and gave a good account for itself. Didn't go on for that long, 5-10 minutes, and I got it in the net. I had a fish called the Freak. Tell you what, he has picked up such a good collection of them, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's a cool one, that one.
Oh, Coops, he's picked some big ones. So many scalies in there now. This one's quite big frame compared to some of the other Avon Valleys that we've got in here, but they're all really nice scaly ones. This one in particular, I think it's 20 pounds and it's only 5-6 years old or something like that, so it's going to be an absolute grower. And 4 or 5 years, I'm sure it's going to be one of the mega beasts in here. Hopefully we'll all be targeting that one when it's £40 plus, and I'm sure it will get there, and it's going to be an absolute stunner, so I'm sure you'll agree. Beautiful fish. So after I had that fish, got the rod straight back out there. It's been pretty quiet. I did see 4 or 5 shows sort of between 3 to 4 o'clock in the morning, maybe going on to 5. There were a few showing out there, but I've sort of nailed down the time they're showing down this end. Before it was 6, 7, 8, 9, sort of that sort of time, but now it's much later, or much earlier, should I say. Sort of between 2 to probably 4, maybe scraping on 5. So I managed to kind of see their behaviour, and I'll make sure I'll set my alarm and wake up and see if I can find a few fish, because come 6, 7 o'clock, the tench are in full show and they're splashing around, but the carp are doing it a little bit earlier. Unfortunately, it was no more fish for me. And then just about half an hour ago, my good mate Steve, he just caught one.
Yeah.
They look fucking nice. It's just because it's got them shoulders. I'm going 32 on the nose.
That's it, put a bit more water in it, cut the leg.
Oh yeah, got that.
32, 6.
Come on.
I was close.
Yeah. But he knows how to catch carp.
Yeah. Jimmy Greaves girl.
You just video it, do you? And then take it my way. Oh.
Get on the comb over. Oh, that's mint. A fish called the Maverick, really, really nice fish. Absolutely buzzing to see it. I don't know when it was stocked or what one it is or how old it is, but it was 32 pounds. Real nice yellow belly, nice dark top. Just a beautiful fish. When we got it in the net, or when he got it in the net, and I had a look, it was really broad on its shoulders, and I said, "Oh, that's a 30. It's a good 30. That's a 35." But it wasn't. It was 32. So I undergunned that a little bit, but still, what a buzz. So there's been 3 or 4 fish out in the last kind of couple of days. Still got another night to go, and we'll be back later on in the week. Capitalise on this week holiday and get it out there. Well, good morning. God, what an absolute intense buzzing morning it's been. My mate over there, Sutcliffe, he had a right old carve up. He's gone and bashed out 2 originals off the bounce, I think within like half an hour space. Give us a smile. There we go. I just filmed it. Oh, awesome. 4K, mate. The other long one at £35 and 2 sides, which, God, that is an old crusty thing. What a stunning carp. Browns, purples, dark colours. Oh, what a buzz to film. That is carp perfection, proper old as well, like 40 plus years old, I think. Crazy times in the Roach pit this spring. Although it's been very cold, as we all know, it hasn't really affected the fishing, and the fish are, each week it keeps getting better and better, and we're in full-on clubbing season now, so there's fish being caught all over the place. I've seen fish showing a bit further down through the channel. I'm just through the trees, I can just see, so it's all kicking off. Unfortunately, I do have to get off today. I've done my 3 nights. I'm going to leave it till sort of mid-morning and then get off. Hopefully nick one. There's still time, like I say, for me, this bite time. I've noticed in the past where he's fishing over in Webley's, when they've been showing in sort of Webley's and they've been coming across, and then they come sort of across to 33 and then to 35 and then hopefully to me. So hopefully, fingers crossed, there's still a chance and one will rip off. This nightmare yesterday, spent about 40 minutes getting all the bloody the mayfluff has really come up, and where the wind actually slightly swung direction, all of it around the whole lake was just coming into me, and I had long bits like that on all my lines, and I had to cut them all eventually and just pull it off. Biggest tip I could give anyone, if you're having problems with that, don't waste your time plucking it off, because it's a nightmare. So I'll get the kettle on, watch out the water. Like I say, there's been fish showing out in front of me, there's in 35 and in front of Webley's, and I think they're coming right across, so fingers crossed for a Roach pit daytime churner. Come on. The Roach pit. I had my 2 days off, sort of chilled out, got all the gear prepped, and went to the cinema, did a few bits and bobs, got some work sorted. Even though it's my holiday, I had to sort out a few little work bits, and then waited my 2 days, and now I'm back. It's now a Friday morning. It's about 8 o'clock. It's much warmer today. There's a bit of cloud cover, but definitely a bit of sun coming through as well. It's finally starting to warm up. There's news of Horseshoe Lake spawning and other lakes around here that they're starting to spawn, even though we haven't really had much sun. I guess this the kind of steady night temperatures that we've had has induced some of the shallower lakes to spawn. I got it this morning about 4:45, left it a little bit later than what I thought. I sort of had it in my head. I knew a swim called the day swim was down the bottom in the shallow end was free, and with this warmer weather coming in, it headed on down there. And as I got there, as 2 members, Jim and Tom had already got there, and Tom had bucketed up, so that beat me to that one. I then spent a little bit of time round the bottom end looking at fish. I fancied a swim called Steps. Spent a bit of time catching up with the other members that have been on there, finding out what they've seen, what's been going on, trying to get a picture of. And I did end up going back in here, in the swim I just was in earlier in the week. Obviously I baited it heavy on that first day because the wind was coming in later on that session, so I thought with that low pressure, rain and big winds, proper carpy weather, I'll give them a bit of bait, because I haven't used a huge amount of bait up until now. So give them a big bit of bait, and then just before I left I'll give it a big hit, knowing as a sort of a backup plan. This particular area is very deep, and obviously we are getting some sun coming in, so I don't know if it's quite the one, but you just never know in this lake. Sometimes in this bottom corner, what they call the corner 37, although it's the deeper end down there, on the Chesil bank, you do get a lot of fish when it's sunny, so there has been fish down here. This morning I did see quite a few fish in between me and Webley's and 35 out in the open water, so I decided to jump back in it. It's it's very, very busy. There wasn't much to go on. I did actually fancy getting in a swim called Sanctuary as well, but another member's leaving and Jim managed to get in there. So, say, a couple of people beat me to it on that one. That's just the way it goes. It's very busy, and more people are arriving today. I imagine there'll be 16, 17 people on come tonight. So it's spring, just before they're spawning. CARP are at their biggest, so no wonder it's getting busy. And there has been a few out. Like I say, last week you had my one, you had the Torpedo, Chris's 2 originals, 2 sides, and the other long one. Jim caught biggies again. Well, Squires had Mavericks, and then another 20-pounder. I think Keith had one out of day swim as well, a Simo Stocky. So there's definitely a few coming out. And you know, for this place, it sounds quite prolific, but for this place, that's pretty good. So it's fishing well. It slowed up a little bit. I think the last fish was caught probably was Chris's. So the last 2 days, I don't think it has done a fish. The weather's completely changing. We're getting some, much higher pressures, northeasterly winds, and obviously much higher temperatures into the 20 degrees. First 20-degree temperatures we've seen this year. So the fish are out and about. I'm not exactly happy. I'd rather be on some of the shallow spots, but they're just all taken. I could go down the bottom, but see, my mate Steve is fishing down there, James is fishing down there, Tom, and I just think the extra lines, I don't want to stitch them basically. And stitch, not only will I stitch them, I'll stitch myself as well. If it really starts carving up down there, then obviously I'll be gone, but you never quite know. And like I say, that bait's sitting out there, and hopefully it won't be long until I get my first take. I'll keep you updated. Hopefully we get one. Unfortunately, it's not a huge amount to report. It's been very quiet. It's just gone 6 o'clock. I've spoken to a few of the lads that are fishing in other areas, and it doesn't sound like anything's been out, but it's bite time, so anything could happen. I do imagine in the next hour someone down that bottom end's going to have one. I'm sure of it. But what I am going to do is I'm going to go for a little bit of a mooch. I've been up since about 4 o'clock, 4:30, looking and watching, and I haven't seen anything out there, where previous morning, yesterday, there was quite a few between me and Webley's over at 35 area, and even in 37, so there was a few, but not one single show. I've not even seen a tench this morning, so that's definitely telling. I imagine there's a few down there, so I'm going to sort of have a little mooch on round and explore a little bit, maybe bring my bucket and see if there's... I know there was a lad, Rob, who was fishing in 21, 22s going off this morning, so I'll drink my tea. I've got my tea on the go. I'll have my tea, and then I will go for a mooch round and see if that swim's free. If it is, I'll jump straight in there. If not, see what else is about, because I'm sure there's some other people that have come up last night, and see what we can do. I just don't think it's the one. I'm fishing in like 14 foot plus. I mean, one of them's 14 foot, the other one's even a little bit deeper, so those sitwee areas, when it's low pressure, lots of rain, the wind banging in there, I think it's prime for a feed up. But certainly in the textbook wise will tell you that it's not quite the one, but you never know. Carp are strange animals, and sometimes they just do whatever, complete opposite is what you think them to do. So I'm not going to rush too much. I'm just not feeling it. I almost feel like going home. I don't know what, I just feel a little bit despondent this morning. I definitely thought I was going to get one last night, but you never know, you can't win them all. Once I've had a good old mooch round, a bit of a recharge and that, get some breakfast in me, hopefully I can get on the move, get on and winkle one out. Good morning once again. Not too much to report. There's been a few fish out down the bottom end, but for myself and all the lads that are down here in the deeper end, it's just not been the one. The last couple of days there's not been many fish. Certainly out in the open water towards the snags and what we call the 33 snags, there's been a few lurking around and down on the Chesil cruising about, but with this high pressure and the warmer temperatures, it's just not been the one. Like I've mentioned previously, I should have moved down the bottom end. There was one or two areas that I could have got, but I just felt like with the amount of lines in there, it would have been stitching up the people. But I think the swim I was thinking of, someone else moved in there anyway, so it just shows you. I like to think about the kind of etiquette and not ruin it for anyone, but this lake's very, very busy now, and you just got to be on it. So even if there's a swim free, even if there's someone next to it, if there's fish in there, you just got to get on it and get in there, because it definitely cost me at least an opportunity, or certainly a chance to get on the fish. Obviously I have saddle back in my mind, and this down this deeper area, and it likes it in this zone. Good old learning curve, a bit of a reality check because things have been going so well for me. Obviously I had one out of this swim earlier in the week, but it's one of those things you've just got to be on them. You've got the northeasterly, you've got that warmer weather, the higher pressure, they're down in them shallow areas cruising about, and obviously if you can get a bait in the shallowest water where they're sort of more comfortable being, then you've got more chance of getting a bite, and that's what's happened. Jim down the bottom, he's had the pug and another fully. Oh, my good mate Squires has had the small plated fully or whatever it's called, and the black beast has been out the day swimming. That's all down that bottom end, and I wanted to slot in between Jim and Squires, but for some reason I just bottled it. I don't know why, I just didn't feel right to go in there. I do potentially have another night, but I'm actually just packed up. Everything's packed bar the rods, and I'm going to go home and have some family time and just enjoy myself. I'm a bit tired. I think I'm set into a bit of a pattern this week because obviously I had the week off, because I cannot complain. Goal was for this week off is to sort of get at least 4 or 5 nights in and try and get one, and I've done that, so mission complete.
What's the matter?
Well, good evening. I'm back down the old Roach pit. Unfortunately, the last session was a bit of a dud. I left a day early. I just couldn't get on the fish. It was a very, very busy weekend. There was, I believe, 18 on. All the fish were stacked down this bottom end, the shallow end. A week's gone by and I'm back down. For the last couple of weeks, lakes around the country have been spawning. It doesn't look like it's anywhere close. From what I can see, I've been sort of messaging people that have been fishing throughout the week, because obviously there's quite a lot of week anglers as well as the weekend anglers on here. And for what it sounds like, the fish are quite far off spawning, so hopefully we can get that final chance before they go. It's pretty muggy, Friday after work, and busy day got down. Of course, all of the prime zones are taken, the Sanctuary, the Day Swim, 21, 22, Ollie, my mate's in there, and to be fair, it looks like there's a fair few fish over him. Opposite me is my mate Steve, who had Maverick earlier on in the video. He's right opposite me in shit swim, and on my walk round I definitely saw some fish sort of in between me and him. And yesterday when I came round here on my lunch break, there was someone fishing in this swim, a lad we call Pompey Chris, and I think he lost one. From what I can see are more predominantly down left of me from where I am, but I'm in the channel, so I'm as close as I can get to them. I know they swim quite well. I've caught fish out of here in the past. I've had a little lead around. The spots look pretty good. I put 2 solid bags out and a hingy out on the spot, a little bit of bait, 3 bombs of chili hemp and some boilie. I crammed up some Escort 2 and boiled the kettle and put it over, and it just helps break the bait down, get all the natural sugars out, and sort of softens it up. And I think it's a right little wedge. So I've got just 3 bombs of that and some hemp over the spot, and we'll see what happens. I've potentially got 2-3 nights. We'll see how things go. I've got to be off very early Monday morning after work if that's the case. Hopefully we'll just keep an eye. It's getting much warmer tomorrow, so we'll keep an eye on the weather and the fish, and if they're starting to look a little bit, even the slightest bit spawny, I'll just do one. Not for that. I don't think anything was caught yesterday, not that I can see anyway. I have to check the Facebook group, but like I said, there's a few fish about. and I imagine there'll be a few caught down the shallow end. Rods are out perfectly. Say fingers crossed we can get one, and I'll keep you updated. Of course, a well nice fish that. Yeah, all good. Look at the mate, it's so heavily plated.
It's beauty, isn't it? On the other side?
Yeah, go on then, spin she round. Cool. Yeah, that's perfect.
Alright.
Scaly banger. Well, good afternoon. I'm now in my second swim of the session. Not much has really happened for 2 days. It's been very, very quiet. But since Ash and Rob caught those 2 fish yesterday morning, it's been pretty quiet. I myself stayed in the channel. There was sort of fish in between shit swim and 5, but they just wouldn't come my way, and they just didn't look like feeding or coming down towards my way. I even flicked a few of them long out, choddies out for a few hours on top of some fizzes, but it just hasn't happened. So I've got one more night. I was getting really frustrated in the channel. Like I say, swim 5 has done me fish in the past, one of my favourite swims, but I had a massive problem with the silkweed. See, my normal spots that I fish, I've been baiting all through the year, they were perfect, got the rods out perfectly, and then, you know, sort of, I'm trying to think of about 20 odd hours later, I brought them in, and they were just covered in silkweed. All the rig, everything, every bead, and I got the marker rod out, casting it back out, and couldn't even get a drop, so the load of this horrible kind of candy floss silkweed stuff had moved in, and you can't even get a drop on a spot where it's really firm. So I had to kind of had another lead about, go a little bit further. Fortunately, Steve had gone from the opposite swim, so I could go a little bit further, sort of 3/4 of the way across, and into some new clean spots. And again, when I reeled them in this morning, it wasn't as much choked up, but what I do is I sort of, when I pick the rod up, I quickly go like that to see if it's clogged up, and they both did move, so I don't think, because I was fishing actually two baits on the deck through the night, and then obviously I slung some choddies out a bit later over some fizzes. It's now 4 o'clock. England are going to play in about an hour. Rob went home, so I thought I'd jump in on here. Although there's fish been seen out here, he has seen some, and obviously there's been a lot of fish out in this open section. And why I wanted to move in here, the lake's pretty quiet now. I think there's maybe 3 of us on. This is a main sort of feeding zone, and it sort of commands between 2 snags. You've got then the swimming pool, 21-22 snag, and then the sanctuary snag, and obviously I'm in the swim we call the sanctuary, and they go between it. And there's some really nice spots out there. I found 3 really nice spots. Again, I've got one on the deck, one on a hingey, and one on a choddy, all because of different spots, but I found 3 different spots, really nice. I'm as confident as I've been the whole trip. Hopefully I can redeem myself and finally get a bite this session. Like I say, I think we've got 4 or 5 days and they're probably going to spawn. So this is my last chance for a spring whacker. Fingers crossed I can catch one of these Hampshire bangers. Hopefully another 40 pounder. Fingers crossed. just gone first light, and again, tales of woe for me. It's been overall pretty positive spring. But last afternoon, and I was just sitting there, just settling down, watching the England game. It'd been on for about 10 minutes, and my middle rod absolutely belted off, bent into it. Quite a powerful fish. Didn't feel like a too heavy fish, but quite powerful. Started stripping line off out in towards the day swim, and then I sort of quickly gained line back on it, and then it swam towards me. I was like, oh, I'm sort of gaining on it, and then it just decided to just completely kite right off into the channel, and it was just going. I just couldn't stop it. So I'm fishing on the old hinges with very sharp hooks, so I didn't want to give it too much stick. Get the rod down low, side strain it, and I didn't even give it too much stick. I'm very wary of giving fish too much stick, but obviously in a situation like that, you've got to give it some. And the hook pulled, and I got the hook back, and it was bird over. Really, really sharpened hooks. That's what you get sometimes with those real sharp hooks. It's one of those. It's a bit of a strange one, because I do feel that these really, really sharpened hooks will get you extra bites, but I also think you do get some hook pulls where the hook either burrs over, or even it might snare, just come out of the lip too easy. It's such a small piece of metal to just pop out. The hook was completely burred over, so I got the rod back out. Just 3 more spawns of Escort 2 and the old chili hemp, and just sat back. And there's been quite a few fish out there to my left. No fish actually over that middle spot. I haven't seen anything show over there. It was obviously, I did see a bit of fizzing about an hour ago. It's now about 5:30. It's just sort of getting light. Well, it's been light for a little bit now. We get those nice early mornings, but I saw a little bit of fizzing, and there's no birds to be seen. These 2 coots came over just as it was getting light and spooked right off. So definitely think there's a few fish about, but at the moment I'm feeling a bit sort of sour. I definitely think within a week the fish are going to go, but I do still think there might be a few days fishing for some of the other lads, and then maybe even just another weekend, but I'm not sure. If I had to bet on it, I would say it's going to be Thursday, Friday. We've got some much more warmer temperatures, night temperatures as well, very consistent, and when you feel that water, it's like jacuzzi, it's getting there, so it can't be long now, and I think that might be my last chance. I've just started to pack everything up because I've got to be off real early for work. There is still time, so I've seen plenty of fish showing over to left on my left hand rod, and there is still time. It could happen at any moment. So I'll sit back, finish my tea, pray to the carp gods, and hope for one last chance. Hopefully one of these big old scaly Hampshire bangers. Fingers crossed. All good?
I think so, mate.
Nice. Shut up.
Big scale fully, aka Jamie's.
I thought it was Jamie's, but this one was just as beautiful. Let's get her back. What a buzz. What a way to finish my sort of little spring campaign before they spawn. I might be able to nick down for a quick overnight, but I've got a feeling that they're going to go this week. I was gutted after that fish last night. You would have seen it was all doom and gloom. Literally just as I'd recorded that little sort of update, 3 fish literally in a space of 4 or 5 minutes lumped out right over my left hand rod, and it just absolutely melted off. I was just making another tea, churned off. Fish weeded me up, got out on the boat. Once I got above it, came out pretty easy, and then it just plodded around. The fish is called the small scale fully. I've called it aka the baby Jamie's, because the whole time I was playing it in this lovely clear water we have in the Roach pit, I could see it as it was coming up to the boat and then diving down. I thought it was Jamie, so again I was starting to get a bit nervous, starting to shake, because that is one of the real gems. I mean, this fish is amazing. I think this is the next generation Jamie's. It's stunning. Wood carving, browns, purples, golden scales, real nice dark chestnut, absolutely perfect carp, and probably one of the nicest, if not the nicest carp I've ever caught. I must give it to old Cooper man. He's put some absolute bangers. There is everything in this lake. You've got big fat ones, scaly ones, long ones, old ones. It is just perfect, like everything to go for. Everything is packed up. I'm just about to go home and to work. It's still pretty early, so hopefully I'll miss the traffic. Off to a busy week. And yeah, thank you for watching. I think that wraps up this particular diary piece. It's probably my favourite ever little spring campaign. Not only have I caught some really nice fish, but I've also got to have a really good time with some of my close friends that fish on here. catch up with some of the other lads, meet some more new people. I got to film some of the other fish that people have caught as well, and I love seeing them on the bank just as much as when I catch them. It's a right buzz. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you on the bank sometime.